Shabbat Shalom and welcome to Israel Update. As you can see, I'm not in studio today, but that's because so much is going on in Israel that's really been crazy. Dubi's got a very important update and report for us, and he's coming to us from Jerusalem. But really, I just wanted to encourage everybody. Things can feel insane, and they do. But our commitment and our responsibility and our privilege is to continue to stand with the Jewish people, to stand with the nation of Israel. And one of the practical ways we can do that is to pray. So as you listen to Dubi's report right now, it's a shorter one, but there's so much going on. And my encouragement to you is not to be disheartened by this report or by the reality of what's going on, but instead to allow it to cause your faith to rise, cause yourself to be stirred up. That's what I'm trying to do right now. And just to say, God, you've always defended your people. We've just come out of the season of Purim, which is the celebration of God having this incredible victory over his enemies and the deliverance of the Jewish people from impossible situations. And so even though so many things feel impossible right now, our God is the same. Yesterday, today, forever. He hasn't changed. He never will. And what he did in Bible times, he's able to do right now, currently in this present moment. So as you watch this report from Dubi, yes, we're all going to be moved by it, but let me encourage you not to be disheartened or not to be discouraged, but instead to allow your faith to rise and to say, we're going to stand and keep standing because Israel is forever. Let's go to Dubi's report now.
Shalom Israel partners, and welcome to Israel. Welcome to our weekly report. And this week I'm going to bring you a report straightforward about what's happening in Israel right now. In this very last month of March, we have entered into a season of multiple terror attacks against civilians, against innocent Israelis, by Palestinians, by Israeli Arabs. This is a terror wave that is storming throughout Israel. From the beginning of the month of March, over 15 Israelis were brutally murdered by Muslim terrorists, and only in the last week, in the last 4 or 5 days, in Israel, throughout the country, within the land of Israel, within the state of Israel, not in the West Bank, not in any disputed areas, in the city of Beersheba, in the city of Hedera, in the city of Bnei Brak, just near Tel Aviv, 11 innocent Israelis were brutally murdered by Arab incited terrorists. They say that they are influenced by the upcoming of Ramadan. This Ramadan should be a peaceful holiday according to the Islam, and yet for the Arabs, for their imams, for the people in the mosques, they are only talking about killing Israelis, getting rid of Israelis. These terrorists, some of them are influenced by ISIS, some of them by Hamas, some of them by the Islamic Brotherhood, some of them by the Fatah. We don't care about which organization they are supported by, only care about the fact that these people, these animals are waking up in the morning and saying to themselves, let me take a knife, let me take a gun, let me take a machine gun, and let me go out to Israeli streets and kill as many innocent people as I can. This is a terrible, terrible terror wave that is being part, first of all, I would say, because of our political situation here in Israel. We have a very weak government who cannot really govern when there is a Muslim party that is actually the kingmaker in this government. Every time they're trying to take any precautions, to take any special measurements around the Arab neighborhoods, around the Arab town, or do something in order to push away terrorism, or go and search the Islamic party that is part of our government right now, rejects it. They are intimidating, they are threatening to topple the government should they're going to be using some strong hand against those Arab terrorists that are coming against us. And the government is now in a situation that their hands are twisted, tied around their back, and they cannot really do much. I call upon the opposition in Israel, to say to the current government, we don't need politics right now, to say to the current government, we're going to back you up as long as you are going to fight terrorism like there's no tomorrow. This is the time for all of us to get united. We're getting closer to Passover. We're getting closer to the spring vacation, to the spring break, where usually thousands and hundreds of thousands of Israelis are going out to travel, to tour, to visit, to see the country, to celebrate. If the terror is going to continue, it means that many of these Israelis are going to be afraid. They're going to stay in their homes. It's crippling the economy. It's a big danger, not only for the economy, but also to that string that ties up the Israelis to the land. This unity that we have known for years and years and years concerning terror attacks and concerning the enemies of Israel. We were always united because we always had a Zionist government, even if we had a left-wing parties in the government, but it was still a Zionist government. It was still in favor of the Jewish state. But now we are leaning on parties that are not in favor of the Jewish state. They want us out of here. All they want is to try politically to gain as much ground, as much power, as much budget to their own people. And if this is not going to happen, they are going to topple the government. So we are seeing a situation right now in Israel that this government is dependent upon the enemies of Israel. They speak in one voice saying that they are against it and they condemn the terror attacks, but on the other hand, in the back of their minds, and their people knows it, they feel that the more the resistance of the Arabs is going to grow up, the more they're going to go against Israel, the more innocent Israeli victims are going to be killed. They are going to weaken our government, and this is one of their ways to try and take over the state of Israel from the rightful Jewish people who's been returning to Zion after all these years. So please, I want you again to be strong, united with us in prayer for the way of the Lord God of Israel, the way He miraculously returned us to our country. Not let this new modern Arab Amalekites win the war against the Israelis. We should always be united and always be able to push this terror away from our borders. We have to be determined. We have to show a strong, resilient hand. We have to go into their towns and neighborhoods, flip every couch, go behind every building, look inside every house, find their weapons, find those people that are against us, go into a cyber war, put our top IT people, Israel known to be the best high-tech nation in the world, get our best high-tech people to go into the website to find out those Arabs that are surfing in those different websites that shows them how to go against Israel, those who are posting in the social media to support of ISIS. Find these people before they're going to take a gun and come into our neighborhoods and start killing us in the streets. Please, let's be together praying. Let the Lord God of Israel deliver us from our enemies as we are about to enter into the Passover, this special holiday of freedom. May the Lord God of Israel grant us with that freedom, finally, for the enemies of Israel to acknowledge that this is our nation, our state, and we are here to stay. Am Yisrael Chai, Israel is forever. Shabbat Shalom, and I love you, and I'll see you soon. Of course, after we're going to be 100% victorious and defeat all of our enemies.